Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a bike that's, well, it's pretty much a modern legend, the Kawasaki Ninja 300. Whether you're eyeing a brand new one or hunting for a great deal on a used model, this is your guide. We're going to cover everything you need to know to figure out if this iconic sport bike is the perfect ride for you. Okay, let's just dive right in. The Ninja 300 has this incredible reputation, and this quote from an owner really nails why. People call it one of the best first sport bikes out there, a true confidence builder that's a ton of fun without ever being scary. So let's unpack what gives this bike that special sauce. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to follow the whole journey a buyer would take. We'll start with its legacy, then get into the nitty-gritty specs, hear what the ride is actually like from owners, run through a super important checklist for buying used, and then, at the end, help you make that final call. First things first, let's get to the heart and soul of this bike. I mean, it's been around for a while. So why is the Ninja 300 still such a big deal? Why is it still a standout choice after all these years? This phrase right here, it just perfectly sums up the Ninja 300's magic. It's got that aggressive, sharp, head-turning super sport look that you want. But the ride itself, it's incredibly approachable and forgiving. Owners are always saying it's the perfect way to get into sport bikes because it's just so much fun and easy to manage, whether you're in city traffic or carving up some twisty back roads. So how exactly did Kawasaki pull off that perfect balance? Let's take a look at the hard data. The core specs really tell the story behind that famously friendly ride. The key here is all about that balance. The 296cc parallel twin engine kicks out a pretty healthy 39 horsepower. That's more than enough to get your heart racing. But, and this is crucial, it's paired with a really manageable weight of about 175 kilos and a pretty low seat height. That combination is exactly what makes the bike feel so light, so accessible, and just not intimidating for a whole range of riders. And of course, you can't talk about a Kawasaki without talking about the color, right? For 2024, the Ninja 300 comes in a few different flavors, including that iconic lime green and candy lime green that just screams Kawi. But hey, if you want something a little more low-key, there's also a slick metallic moon dust gray. So specs on a page are one thing, but what do those numbers actually feel like when you're out on the road? Let's get into the real-world experience from the people who actually own and ride this bike every single day. When you look at what owners are saying, a really clear picture emerges, and it's all about a trade-off. On the one hand, everyone raves about the engine. It's buttery smooth, loves to rev, and the handling is just nimble and confidence-inspiring. The riding position is sporty, but not so aggressive that it's uncomfortable. But, on the other hand, the bike really shows its age when it comes to tech. You're not getting a fancy TFD display or even a gear indicator. The brakes are also known for being a little soft when you first grab them, and yeah, it can be a bit pricey compared to some of the newer competition out there. And this quote just captures that whole sentiment perfectly. You can feel the passion. The riders who absolutely love the Ninja 300 are making a conscious choice for that raw analog experience. They care way more about the refined performance of the engine and chassis than they do about having the latest gadgets and screens. For them, it is all about the purity of the ride itself. That passion means the Ninja 300 is a super popular bike on the used market. But if you're thinking about grabbing a pre-owned one, you absolutely need to know what to look for so you don't end up buying someone else's headache. Okay, before you do anything else, here is the single best piece of advice you'll get. Have a professional mechanic inspect the bike. Seriously. Take it to an authorized service center or a mechanic you trust. They've got the tools and the experience to spot problems you'd never see, especially on a sport bike that might have been ridden pretty hard. Now, with that said, there are definitely some critical checks you can do yourself to get a really good feel for the bike. First, always ask for service records. Then, look really closely for any scuffs on the plastics, the bar ends, the levers. Those are telltale signs of a drop. Check for rust on the frame and pop open the fuel tank to look inside. When you test ride it, pay attention to how tight the bike feels. Any kind of vague or disconnected feeling is a huge red flag. And finally, check the easy stuff, the tires, the chain, the battery, so you can factor in any immediate replacement costs. And you've got to be aware of a few specific red flags with these bikes. Some of the 2018 models had a recall for a faulty front brake master cylinder, so make sure that was taken care of. A worn cone set, that's basically the steering bearings, is a common thing that can make the handling feel off. Be really cautious of any messy-looking aftermarket wiring for lights or alarms. And finally, if a bike has had, say, more than 2 previous owners, it's not a deal breaker, but you should definitely be asking some extra questions. All right, so with all of that information, the specs, the owner feedback, the used buyer's checklist, we're at the finish line, the final decision. Is the Ninja 300 the right motorcycle for you? The choice to buy one today, whether it's new or used, it really all boils down to a single question about what you prioritize as a rider. When you choose this bike, you're choosing a proven, refined analog machine. You're actively trading the latest digital dashboards and riding modes for what a lot of people feel is a purer, more connected performance experience. So, here it is, the bottom line. For your ride, what matters more to you? A pure, refined engine and a fantastic chassis, or the latest digital features like a TFT display and phone connectivity? Your answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about whether the legendary Kawasaki Ninja 300 is the right bike to start your next chapter on two wheels.